So we got the NT here. First thing I want to do is let's go ahead and weigh the gun. And let's go ahead and turn it on. Okay, as you can see, there's a battery in there. We're zeroed out. Just under 2 pounds, 1 pound, 15.4 ounces, 1 pound, 15.4 ounces. Now that we're up a little bit closer on the gun, let's start going through some of the features of the NT. First thing you're going to notice is that, this is what they call the Ironman trigger. Really nice trigger. I love this curved design. I like it so much better than the designs that they've had in the past with the flat blade design. Also, comes with a really trick on-off ASA. Let me see if I can grab my tank. Let me show you how this on-off ASA works. Screw your tank into your gun. Turn it all the way. Then you just simply quarter turn, and your gun's gassed up. Bleed it off. That's it. That's all you need to do. Very easy. And the gun will probably gas. There we go. Now, let's go through the gun here, and let's talk about some of the really cool features about it. First off, let's talk about the grips. These are actually screwless grips. How you take them off, and there's a little bit of a trick to it, is you take the top part and you pull it back so that it unhooks, and then you basically kind of stretch it forward to unhook it from here. So you take your fingers and you pull it back and pull it away. Okay? So you pull it back and pull it away, then you grab it and then just kind of go forward and towards the macro line, and off it comes. Now that we're inside here, let's look at some of the cool things inside here. One of the problems that they've always had with the DM series guns is the membrane pad here. The rubber comes off and stuff like that because it was glued in place. Now it's actually screwed in place, which is really nice. Something else they did also is they put a little rubber insert here in front of the board where the board tabs, so you've always got positive pressure pushing against your battery tongs, which is nice. Now, one of my personal favorite things that they did, excuse me as I wipe some of the paint off here, one of my personal favorite things that they did was they actually corrected the alignment of the spring and the adjustment screw. If you look at some of the DMs, the trigger tension screw is down there at the bottom, and then the socket where the screw goes into it is like way up here, and it was always out of alignment, and it had a tendency to bind and stuff like that. They've actually lined it up here, and for this gun I actually took that out and I put one of my upcoming magnet trigger kits in here. I know it's a shameless plug, but it feels really good. So that's some of the internal improvements. You still have the ASA, the adjustment for the ASA to slide it back and forth right there. And let's go ahead and go over to the other side. And the same thing here. Take the top, move it back so it unhooks it, then forward and away. Use the other hand. Okay, so back so it unhooks, and then forward. And there you go. You can see the back of the board. Not much to do there. Now let's go ahead and start taking apart the bolt. Alright, now let's go ahead and take apart the bolt, or as Di calls it, the boost bolt. Now you want to make sure that the bleed button, that you can press the bleed button in so that there's no air pressure in the gun. Only takes about a turn. And out comes the bolt. Now let's talk about these inserts, okay? Inside of the gun, there's a very specific metered chamber of air, and you have to you basically have to have these inserts inside of your gun in order for your gun to shoot properly, okay? You take a look at it like this. If you have your gun set up like this, the gun is not going to shoot properly. You do need to have the spacer body, the large spacer body in there, and you just simply push it in. It's just a piece of rubber. And then you also need one of the spacers in there. I've seen a lot of people that have had problems with their NTs. They're like, man, my NT's not shooting properly. Don't know why. It's because they don't have the spacers in there. If you have those out, you've got too big of a volume of air, and your gun's not going to shoot properly. So at least make sure you have the spacer body in there and at least one spacer in place. Now, let's start unscrewing the bolt assembly and the cylinder. And we'll just go ahead and kind of clean this as we go along. I was using this gun this weekend. Alright, now let's go ahead and take apart the plunger. And what you may just need to do is just take an Allen key, stick it down into one of the air holes here. And then loosen it up. There we go. And we can set the back cap aside. And let's pull out the spool. Out comes the spool and out comes the spring. Alright, now that we've got our bolt assembly completely taken apart, right here this is your cylinder. Obviously this is your bolt. This is your plunger. This is your spool and your spring. And your back cap. So let's go ahead and lube it and put it back together. Now at the very front of your spool, if you happen to notice that your NT squeaks every now and then, kind of like a when you shoot it, you may need to get your the very front of your spool notched. You just basically take a razor blade and cut a little notch in that spool. What happens is depending on how it was glued, it may be creating a perfect seal and maybe causing your gun to squeak a little bit. Not that big of a deal. So let's go ahead and slide the spool back into place. Or you can send it to Dye and they'll do it for you free of charge. And now what we'll do is let's go ahead and put a little bit of lube here on the bolt. And let's go ahead and put a little bit of lube on the cylinder. Screw that into place. Now let's go ahead and put the bolt tip O-ring on here. Alright. Almost done. Put a little bit of lube here on this orange O-ring. Screw that in. And let's use the die tool to tighten it. There we go. And we've just taken apart the bolt. Make sure it slides back and forth nice and easy. And let's go ahead and put it back into the gun. And we'll go ahead and while we're at it, let's go ahead and put some lube on the outside of the engine O-rings. Or the boost bolt O-rings. There we go. There you go. We're just taking apart. We just took apart the bolt. Let's go ahead and put the grip on. Now the grip, we put it on the exact way, pretty much the exact opposite that we put it on, or we took it off. Take the top part, press it down, and once you press it down, you go forward with it, and then it'll click into place at the bottom. There we go. Go and do it on the other side. Go back a little bit, press it down, slide it forward, and then clip it, press down at the bottom. There we go. And your grip's in place. Very nice. I've already got a video up on how to take apart the Hyper 3. So if you have any questions on how to take apart the Hyper 3, it's very easy. Grab it from the bottom, unscrew the top, unscrew the bottom. Very quick and easy to take apart.